Hello, Parfam. It's good to have you back. Today we'll be learning about graphing lines, and I'll be teaching you this by using interactive simulations and some fun games. This is the agenda for today's video. I've divided this video into three sections. You can find the timestamps below as usual. Now, when it comes to this topic of graphs and lines, this equation is the start. It's really important, to know this equation. It's y is equals to mx plus c. I'll explain it to you later in this video, but without further ado, let us start today's video. First of all, we have to understand what the slope is. The slope or the gradient of a line basically just tells you about the steepness of the line. So in the equation, the slope is represented as the letter m. How do we calculate the gradient? It's simple. Just divide the rise by the run. So I have 2 points here on the line. I want to find how steep the line is. So I'll take the y values. So I have y2, which is the value of the y value of this point. And then I take out the y value of this point. So that would give me 3. So 5 minus 2. So it basically is just the difference between the y values of both the points and the x values of both the points. And that would give me 3 for the y value and 3 for the x value. And the gradient would just be the rise divided by the run. And here it is 3 over 3, which is 1. Now notice that wherever I put my point, the gradient is going to be the same because it's the same line and it's the same steepness. Now what if the line becomes more steep? Notice how the gradient changes. Is it increasing or is it decreasing? So if I'm at this point and you see that the line is super steep, so that means I'm reaching this point faster, and that's why the gradient is increasing. Let us look at some more examples. Now we have some negative examples included. So notice the rise. Well, it's not the rise anymore, but if it's along the y-axis, we'll call it the rise. So look at the rise. Again, take this value and then take away this value, you'll be left with negative 5. So why is it negative 5? Because it's decreasing. And then you take the difference between the x values from this point to this point, which is 3, and you divide the rise with the run, you get negative 503. So here the gradient is negative. Okay, let's look at this example right here. You can see that wherever I put my point, it's going to be the same gradient. And what is the gradient? It's 406. It's pretty easy to see here. Okay. Now, please take note, a lot of students make mistake in this part, which is they will take the y value here and then they'll divide the y value with the x value. But it's important that you notice the point here, and from that point you make a triangle, sort of a triangle, then you divide this side of the triangle by this side. That's it for slope. Now let's move on to slope, the intercept of the slope. So the intercept of a line is basically just telling you when the line crosses the axis. So in the equation, the intercept is represented as the letter C. Here it's B. I'm sorry for the mistake, but it's fine. It's just letters. So y is equals to mx plus c. So we saw what was m. M was the gradient. So you multiply that by x. That would be the gradient. And then here comes the important part, which is the intercept. So when is the point where the line crosses the y-axis? So if we look at here, it's 1. Okay? So the difference between this line to here is 1. What if I have a negative intercept? It's going to be just that. So if I increase, you can see that the intercept increases as well. And what's the x-intercept? It's simply the point when the line crosses the x-axis. Here it is -5, and the point where the line crosses the y-axis is 3. So this is the completed equation. Now let's move on to some math games on graphing lines. Let's play some games now. First question. So the intercept is already here, it's +2, and the gradient. Now let us first identify a triangle. So remember that the gradient is going to be positive because this line is increasing. Remember that in order to find the gradient, you have to divide the rise by the run. So the rise here is 2. Oops, and the run here is 5. So my gradient is 2 over 5. Check. Correct. Here it's simple, we just have to set the y-intercept. The y-intercept is negative, so it's -2. Check and correct. Here we have to set the slope. Okay, the point is already on the intercept. Now we just have to set the gradient or the slope. So the gradient is telling me that the rise is 5 and the run is 3. So this is going to be a positive line. The rise is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the run would be 3. So this means that every time the y-axis value increases by 5, my x-axis values increase by 3. Check. That's correct. Now again, we have to set the y-intercept. Simple. Just put it right here at +1. Check. Now we have some harder questions. We have to put these points on the line. Let us start with the intercept first. It's +3, so +1, +2, +3. That's our intercept done there. And the gradient is 2 over 3, which means from this point I'll rise by 2, 1, 2, and then I'll run by 3, 1, 2, 3. That is where I should place my point. That's the same I'll do with this point. So my rise would be 1, 2, the run would be right here, 1, 2, 3. So hopefully we get a straight line. Check. Correct. So this is an interesting question. We have to make the equation. Now the intercept is easy. It's +2 for the equation. So for the gradient. Now since this line has no gradient, we can say that it has an intercept. So the intercept would be at 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try with I think the answer should be y is equals to 2. So 0 divided by 1 is 0 and plus 2. So this is just going to be simply y is equals to 2. We have another question. This is going to be the last question. Now, here we just have to mark the intercept, the y-intercept, which is -7, and there's no gradient. So it's a straight line, is it? Let's check. Correct. One bonus question. Let's start with the negative intercept. And since the gradient is positive, the line is increasing. So remember that this is decreasing, this is increasing. So a rise of 3, so 1, 2, 3. So our point is going to go along this line. A run of 7, so hopefully this is the answer. Check, and correct. First of all, we have to understand what the slope is. The slope or the gradient of a line basically just tells you about this. Okay, thank you for watching. If you liked this video or if it was helpful, please drop a like, and yeah, watch my other videos here and here.